hard for black people to be on the same page in America because even back to like the Middle Passage, they didn't just take us from Kenya or from Ghana or from wherever. They took us from different tribes, you know? So we naturally started off on a different page already.
Hey family, welcome to the Do You Know Black Kickback, the official after party to the game show Do You Know Black. I'm your host, Lamont Carolina, and we're here with contestants from the show. We're gonna dig into a question that they had, we're gonna break it down, and we're gonna have a thought-provoking conversation around it. But before we do that, let's take a look at how they did on their show.
Why? Because our names is too close, and I feel like people. I'm sorry, man.
I had a feeling Marquise was going to try to get me out of here.
Wow. So. Oh, that's me! Oh, I didn't know. That is, yeah, that's you.
Jamil, I'm sorry, brother. I wish I would have kept you and voted her out last time, you know, but it's cool.
Yes, I love Ayana, but I asked Jameer to hold my lip gloss, and he's been holding this whole show.
Appalled. Leon, I love y'all, for real. I know a little bit about black, just a little bit, and I'm out.
Goody Mom?
Goody Mom.
No!
The two JayZ, they're both wearing black. We're brothers.
We're happy, and we're singing, and we're colored.
Give me a high five.
Wow, great.
All right.
Wow.
We'll probably have to cut that out because we don't own that. But
Nah. If you do it yourself, you good. You can sing happy birthday, you can't play happy birthday.
All right, so we laughed about it right now, but it wasn't all laughs back on the show. What happened? What's going on?
Well, I'll break the ice. They kicked me off without any hesitation. And it hurt because I thought we was vibing backstage, but I guess we wasn't vibing that hard. But it was a great experience though, for sure.
Great experience.
Yeah.
All right, Jameer.
To everybody's credit, right? You did say
I know.
You would hold no feelings if we voted you off, per se. And it just so happened to get like that. I'm sorry, bro.
It happens like that. It's all good.
Oh, look at that. Look at the love. Jameer, what level did you get? What round did you make it to?
Okay. I actually made it to like the final round. It was a back and forth. I was dueling out there. Back. Somebody was sitting right next to you. The Queen Gambit.
This one?
Yep.
Gambit as in throwing out cards? Flaming. Oh, hey, mon ami.
Well, not me.
Okay. No, don't burn me up.
Listen.
Don't do that. All right, so what was the winning strategy for you?
Wow, I did not have any strategy. I was really nervous, and you know what I did? I was actually listening because they told us it's gonna be really fast. It's 90 seconds, and I have like ADHD. It's hard for me to pay attention. So as Jay was saying the questions, I was like, Nakia, you have to listen, and I took my time.
Oh, you took your time.
Yes.
Patience
is a virtue.
All right, that's cool. So you won. And
I did win.
At the end, did you risk it all?
I risked it all. I don't know why I did that. Actually, no. You know what? I'm happy I did that because I won everything.
Oh, you won everything?
Yes. Because I'm not a gambler. I don't gamble.
You don't gamble?
I'm scary.
So all right, so you never drank Henny on a Sunday night and had to go to work on Monday?
Yes, okay.
You gamble?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. Yeah. But yeah, I won everything.
Nice, congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, and brother, what was going on, Marquise? How did you fear?
I'm not gonna lie. Whenever I play,
Wait, time out. When somebody says I'm not gonna lie,
They about to lie.
they about to lie their ass off.
So whenever I play a game, I play to win. So I had full intentions of winning, and I did not win. So, but I do believe the person who was supposed to win won. I was beat out by a better player today.
Wow.
And
You sound. Go ahead. I like the love. I'm sorry.
No, yeah, that's what it is. It was fun though. Super, super dope. Everybody here is great. My brother Jamil, hate to see that he had to go out first.
Did you? Didn't feel like it.
You was finished first. You wrote his name.
He turned that board around.
Yeah, but it was just really an amazing experience. Really, just to be amongst each other.
That's what would you say to our viewers who are like, I want to be on the show, but I don't think I could do it. What would you say to them?
Why not? You know, I mean, it's just an opportunity to be amongst family, right? Even though we never met each other per se, for everybody, it's just an opportunity to be amongst family and learn. And so why not, right? And I think it's just a moment of enlightenment right now. So let's learn as much as we can.
There we go. And before I move on for a second, I just want to take a second. Your shirt is dope.
Yeah.
Tell us about that shirt, man.
So it's been a hot commodity today, but no, this is a Black-owned brand, not for sale. Can't buy respect. My friend Chasing Cash, he's like a music producer or whatnot, but Black-owned brand, so I support it. It's dope.
Nice. I feel you. All right, dope. All right, and where did we place?
You know, somewhere around third.
Didn't you say third?
No, I was the first loser. I was the first loser.
No, like the last round. I'm sorry. Correction.
Third place.
Third place.
Yes.
Do you feel you should have been higher or lower?
You know, I don't feel like I needed to be anywhere except for where I was.
No, that's right.
Look at that.
Basking in your home. Okay. All right. You know, you talk like you make an amazing cornbread. I don't know if it's true or not. But like, if I could just
Hot water. Skillet. Cornbread.
Look. Come on
That's
now.
real cornbread.
All right.
That's like grandma.
All right. That's great. All right, with that being said, we're about to jump into the conversation. But before we do that, I'm gonna read you the question from the show, and then I'm gonna provide you with some context. And that's gonna be part of our discussion. Don't let that be the discussion. Don't focus on that thing, but I'm gonna read you the question. What controversial Booker T. Washington speech stressed African-American accommodation rather than resistance to segregation? You're smiling. What's the answer?
That was the one I got incorrect.
Close to home.
Triggered.
Do you know it now?
That's the question.
No.
Damn, you really don't know black. All right. I don't want your cornbread. It probably got raisins in it.
No.
Damn, the Karen cornbread.
Crush like crush ice.
I mean, listen,
That wasn't nice.
I don't know. You tell me. No, it's a tough one. The Atlanta Compromise. Okay? All right. So I'll give you some context around that question here. Booker T. Washington's famous Atlanta Compromise speech advocated for blacks and whites to work together while remaining segregated. He urged blacks to give up demand for political and equal rights and concentrate instead on manual labor as a way of economic development. In exchange, whites would guarantee that blacks would receive basic education and due process in law. Ultimately, the economic independence and the ability to show themselves as productive members of society that would eventually lead blacks to true equality. W.E.D. Dubois and other black leaders publicly opposed Washington's views and called it a combinationist. Okay, so there's your context. Now with that, let's jump into the discussion. I'm gonna present you with a question and then we'll get going, all right? So Jameer.
Damn. Sorry.
There's no wrong answer here, all right? So this is how we're gonna kick off the discussion, okay? So Jameer, let's start here. While an argument can be made for Booker T. Washington and W.E.D. Du Bois's positions, is public opposition harmful or helpful to black advancement?
I think public opposition is pretty expected just because it's hard to get black people on the one page about anything. And we're non-monolithic. There's people who always have achieved and walking a line of financial prosperity. And there's been people who walk the line for people as a whole. So I'm not surprised. I think no matter what though, like white people gonna look at black people like they look at us. So whether we all together or whether we separate, trying to get it together, still that kind of look and feel. But I mean, I would love if we could all come together. It just don't, trying to think through our history where all of us, we were all collectively together on one issue. And to me, it's normal, yeah.
Well, segregation was a huge one. And the path forward, I think this wasn't like, hey, let's come together and fight the power. This is like, how do we gain equal rights? Right. How do we gain equal footing? And there were two very different paths there. Some was like, yo, nah, We don't. I mean, Marquise, what's up, man?
Yeah, I mean, like Jameer said, I think there's always going to be people who have different ideas of how to get to a certain place, right? And I think one of the, I guess, my problems with that mindset is like we're putting it on ourselves. And I think we have some ownership of what we can do, but I want to put it back on white people. Like, yo, y'all got us in this position. Y'all need to get us out, right? Another one of the questions from the game show is about reparations. And what that is you all did something, you stole from us, now give us something back, you know? And, you know, I think if you talk to historians, experts, they will always say, in order for Black people to really achieve equity and equality, there has to be reparations, right? No matter whether it's money, housing, laws, you know, think across the board, right? And so yes, it's a fair question to say, how can we all get on the same page? But I love to put it back on the colonizers. Like, y'all did this, y'all need to figure this out. You know, we'll be there to kind of help, but like, it's just like so much on us. And it's like, we're already disadvantaged as a community. And of course, there's so many different types of people, some people with money, some people without it. So there's different agendas. So
right.
It's gonna be difficult.
Right. You know, here's a question for you. You know, when you think about Black people, in particular, public Black people, right? I mean, Booker T. Washington and W.E.D. Dubois were both on their own right, like probably the most popular Black people of their times, right? You know, whether founding, you know, print newspaper or education institutions, right? We're talking about, you know, the upper echelon, right? Within the struggle too. When you fast forward to today, is it okay for Black people of high status to disagree publicly? And not just disagree, but disagree.
That's a tough one for me because personally, I feel that where we were then that got us to even where we are today took us coming together on a page. And I think that when we have consistently seen a struggle as some of our own gain their status today, they're starting to create their own 1% within our community. And it becomes very, very obvious. And with that distance between our own community that's so clear, I think that creates a problem whenever two of our 1%ers decide to oppose an important factor that will determine the destination of the people beneath them. It takes them to align, in my opinion, in order for our community of the bottom barrel, for sure, to even come up to the middle class.
Whoa. Quick question for you on that one. Did you coin that phrase, the Black 1%?
Sure.
You just made that up right now?
Yeah.
All right, you heard it here first. You heard it here first. All right, that's going to be your thing right there. All right.
My name is Ayana Ely.
Hey.
Thank you very much.
Get your credit for that.
Hey, come on now. All right, with that, I mean, you know, some good points raised there. Is it helpful to our community when folks kind of, you know, argue about our issues that affect all of us, even if it's the top 1%? Oh gosh, the Black 1%.
I think so. Like, why not? Because I feel like if we do it publicly, we do it behind closed doors, people already have an idea of who we are as a people.
Yep.
So it doesn't matter what we do, how we do it, people they have this image of us. Yep. And I think it's pretty healthy for us because we are all not the same. So I think it is pretty healthy for us to agree to disagree, but hopefully come together at the end and listen to each other and figure out a way. But I think it's pretty like natural, and I just thought we wouldn't be human, it wouldn't be normal if we didn't disagree with each other.
Robots.
You know, even if it was in public.
But it's kind of like airing out dirty laundry, right? Maybe is that you know, as we're like, oh, you know, we don't talk about certain things in public. Well, we don't do that.
The constant, it's interesting because I think our experiences and being here are very cyclical. Like we go through the same kind of things wrapped up in different stuff, of course. Like every era has had their era of pain and public, whether it's civil rights, whether it's like the Jim Crow era. It's named a different thing, but it's the same kind of thing. It's just remixed and repurposed. So the kind of conversations that we've been having have been the same conversations since we got here. What are we going to do? How are we going to prosper? How are we going to get from underneath the power of white supremacy? And so those kind of conversations have always existed, and they've always had people leading, well, we should move this way, and people moving, well, we should move that way.
Sometimes the conversation isn't just about white versus black, right? You can have two black people publicly disagree, prominent black people, right, disagree in public, right? So, I mean, I'm just for fun, not for fun, but for not hypothetical because it happened in real life, but I'm going to throw a situation out there at you. You had Colin Kaepernick, right, who obviously, you know, took a stand in the NFL and, you know, lost his job, you know, and, you know, after taking a knee, but, you know, he decided not to play, you know, and then things happened and there was a lawsuit, a settlement that he couldn't talk about because it was, you know, sealed, NDAs, whatever. Then in comes JayZ, and JayZ partners with the NFL. There was a huge debate publicly. And I don't think any of them really said much about it, right? But those were two publicly well-known figures within the black community who had a disagreement on how to get to that place of equality, right? Was that okay to do that? Was it not okay? Did they handle that the right way? What are our thoughts? And I think before you answer that question, it's important to note that, you know, Jay was supportive of Colin Kaepernick. So just want to be very clear about that.
Well, within that situation, I remember JayZ making a statement of, it's one thing to take a knee and, you know, protest and tweet, but what do we do after that? Like, there has to be some action behind, you know, our cries being heard and, like, you know, all the passion that we have, whether it's, you know, in the actual streets or online through our, you know, different communities. So I think the concept that we sometimes as a community lack is being able to agree to disagree. Because if you take two prominent figures like Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, for example, they had two completely different ideals of how to get to the same destination, but you always saw them in pictures together, you always saw them meeting with each other, you know. You can always read about like different conversations that they had, and they publicly said, like, you know, I don't agree necessarily with this method of thinking, but for my people, I'm willing to meet you halfway to, like, you know, kind of see, all right, how can we implement this mentality and this method and bring it together? Because at the end of the day, we're all thinking of one purpose, and that's, you know, just uplifting our communities and moving forward. So I think that the thing that we need to understand more in our communities is that two things can be true. Like, it's okay for Colin Kaepernick to take a knee and protest and, you know, not play the game and do what he feels is right. And it's okay for somebody who's as prominent as JayZ to come in and try to, you know, maneuver through the system and how it's working. Because at the end of the day, you know, people got into an uproar, but we don't know the conversations that he's having behind closed doors. Right. And so I think that the more we just become open to listening and learning from each other instead of saying, oh, this is my way and this is wrong and this is right, I think that will make even more progression. Because, you know, even the way we start, you know, it's hard for black people to be on the same page in America, because even back to like the Middle Passage, they didn't just take us from Kenya or from Ghana or from wherever, they took us from different tribes, you know, so we naturally started off on a different page already. Like, that's, you know, how our language developed. We didn't, because tribes wouldn't even be able to speak the same language. Yeah, so sure. That's really the root of it. So it's hard to even, you know, start on the same page.
Sure. Marquise, with on that same note, you have, you know, one of our folk on one side, the other our folk on the other side here, and it looks like there's a space. Is there an opportunity? Does that public division create an opportunity for, you know, someone else to step up, or an idea to pop up that shouldn't be there, that separates us?
I think it's important to have public discourse, right? I think it's needed. I just think it's important the way you do it. I think sometimes if you're name calling each other, I think the argument is missed. It's just all of a sudden you're just calling each other names. With the JayZ and Kaepernick, I think they were kind of on two sides. One's like kind of, we're working with the NFL. The other one kind of saying we don't want to work, even though Colin still wanted a chance to play. I just think that, once again, I want to throw it right back on white supremacy, right? And like you mentioned, you said it's not necessarily white versus black, and I appreciate Jameer saying white supremacy, because that's really what it is. You could be a black person upholding white supremacy. Kanye West. So I just think it's really, let's continue to root out white supremacy. So granted, we don't know exactly what JayZ said, what happened behind closed doors. But my question would be, are you ensuring that white supremacy is not allowed to just progress, right? And so we know, the main people are owners, so we switch up the name of that. And we know there's racist names of football teams. There's so many different things. And I'm not even gonna put it all on JayZ to have to answer all that. Because once again, as Black people, the marginalized, we're kind of forced to be that person. I just think it's constantly beating down white supremacy.
Does it cause confusion among followers?
It always will. I mean, specifically white people, they're always gonna, Jamil's point, what's next, right? I think that's what JayZ said. White people are always saying, the Black Lives Matter march, what's next? What are you doing this for? And sometimes they don't need an answer, to be straight up, right? Sometimes we're figuring it out.
Yeah.
Sometimes we do need to meet up and, okay, we need to figure it out, but we don't always have to answer what they're saying.
Yeah.
But it's just all a process, right? We were brought here over a long period of time. There were so many rules, redlining, this and that laws. It's gonna take a long time to figure it out. And I think sometimes people feel as though a snap of wrist, Black president or XYZ, we're gonna figure it out. And it's like, it's gonna take a lot.
Yeah. I saw this thing online yesterday. There's an event that's happening and there was a flyer and it said, the most dangerous place for a Black person to live is in the imagination of a white person's mind. So pushing it back was, you said, on the oppressor, right, as opposed to the oppressed. What are some steps that white people can take to help us beat down, not help us beat down, but how they on their own can help around their circles and their world beat down this thing that affects other people and that benefits themselves?
That's a tough question, only because I'm almost sick and tired of hearing baby steps for white folk. There are no more baby steps. Like, take the big step. I think the only step white people need to take is reparations so that we can get to the middle point. Get us to the middle point so that we are able to compete. Come together, compete, and do what we need to do to move forward as a community.
And I think even greater than, the financial aspect of reparations, just the truth, the real education to their own communities about how the very fabric of this nation was founded. I think that, when you take a look at the Holocaust in Germany, I've been to Germany and they teach in their schools like, hey, this is what happened. This is an ugly part of our history, but it occurred, and moving forward, this is how we all aspire to move as a society. And I think until America really on a huge level and on a local level in white communities really teaches that and instills that into their youth, because everything starts within the mind. So if you start off teaching your children a lie based on America's not racist, it's free, the land of the free, home of the brave. Yeah, that's all fine and all, but it's like then as you get older, your kids develop these microaggressions, and some of them turn into full-blown racists or white supremacists. So it really all starts with where you're educating the youth, and moving forward, I think that it needs to happen on a super extreme level and on the molecular level as well.
Ooh, on a molecular level. Wow.
You can put onus on white people. You can put onus on anybody. It's, do they want to make the change? And the onus has always been, hey, we're human, right? We bleed, we cough, we sneeze, we laugh, we feel pain. At what point is it gonna be like, well, maybe they just really enjoy the way things are because they benefit in this system? I think a lot of things are performative when you look at the victories that Black people have had in this country. And I think a lot of it is to pacify, to keep us striving for more, right? But when you look at like the standards and the systems, and we talk about redlining, we talk about even slavery, how that's remixed into the school to prison pipeline. Like, all these things are still very much in place. So aside from the performative wins, how do we really feel about the advancement of Black people stemming from whiteness?
Yeah.
I think it stems from the yes master, no man. I think it really stems from that, because once again, Marquise was saying about how the things that you learn from your childhood, like inherently learn, like, you know, so if I'm a white child and I see my mother or father talking down to somebody of a darker skin tone, I'm naturally going to pick up on that. You know, if I'm a black child and I see my dad get nervous when he's pulled over by a cop, I'm naturally going to inherit that. There's just, you know, that's your life experiences. It shapes you into who you are. So I think that it really stems from us for years having to, you know, uphold white families because we were forced to. Like, you know, whether you were a house slaver in the field, if you were a black woman, you were probably breastfeeding a slave owner's child, or, you know, cooking for them or doing this. So it's one of those things that's inherently taught to us, like, you know, even on the micro level of like just trying to not upset white people and not, you know, get them riled up because it means trouble for us. So, you know, unfortunately, it's just something in our communities that we just adopted as a mindset. So
I agree a little bit with that point. I think that's a lot of it. But I also have to say as a strategist that for the ones who have been able to meet some progress, either because of their, you know, lineage in their black family, I think that some of them approach that passivity from a place of attempt to strategize. How can we create some change from the inside?
I agree.
And just to add on to your point, that's where a lot of the discourse comes from, because it's an approach. Because people will say, oh, they see you on TV or you on a show or whatever the case is, like this dude is cooning to get here, or this person is cooning because they're selling their soul to someone. And it's like, there could be an instance where somebody's like, no, I'm trying to get out of where I'm from to make money.
Well, no, don't misunderstand my point. My point is more or less, for an example, if JayZ has the finances, right? He's on the same page as Colin, let's say Kaepernick, and his point of view. But JayZ already has the connection to the people in the box office with the funds. So right. JayZ goes as a middleman with an attempt to strategize. How can I create what Colin wants from the inside? Because I have the funds to support, and I have the people on the table and on the board that I can convince in a different type of way.
So, you know, we've had people who in our history have sat with folks who've oppressed us, right? And said, all right, I'm gonna try to make change on behalf of my people with the oppressor. Now, we don't know what's going on in those conversations, but we see our people are like, man, that person's a sellout, man, F that person. We don't want to hear that no more. The question is though, like, at what point is it okay? Or does a black person of power need to gain the okay from us black people collectively to speak on our behalf?
Well, I think that that's such a layered question. There's like not really a necessarily right answer, because as black people, we all like are just so diverse in our experiences, even though we share like collectively like the same type of joy, the same type of pain, with the same type of feelings. They're just, like Ayana said, you have like some people who are in like, that are black or in the upper class, and then you got people in the projects that's like, they have a whole different perception of reality. So I think once again, that theme of discourse comes in. And I understand the opposing side, because it's like, there's this old folktale of this woman, she finds a snake and she takes care of the snake, she feeds it, she makes sure that it's warm at night, whatever, blah, 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 and the snake ends up biting her and poisoning her. And it's like, you can't get mad that the snake bit you because you knew it was a snake when you picked it up, So it's like, it's kind of that same premise when you're looking at the institution of white supremacy. It's like,
so what you're saying is white people are snakes.
I mean, I'm not saying it, but the proof is in the pudding. But
so what you're saying is,
I don't agree with it, because first off, you can't keep a snake warm because it's cold-blooded.
Right. Hey, see? It's in its nature.
I'm just kidding.
so at this point, if like I'm one of those people at the top, say I am a hove, or you know what I'm saying? I feel like I don't need to ask you, but I do want to be honest with my people and let them know what I'm actually doing. Because even with the Colin Kaepernick and JayZ situation, I felt like we had no idea what was even going on in that situation. Mm-hmm. It was the media, it was social media, it was people who were saying what Hove was saying, but Jay didn't even really say like, hey, this is actually what happened. Yeah. Colin didn't say this is actually how I felt. It's like everyone told them how they should feel. Yeah. So I feel like honesty and transparency is very important, and I feel like letting us know what's going on, but I don't think you need to wait for us at this point.
And that's a good point. Go ahead, Marquise.
I just want to say, I don't want every single black person speaking on behalf of all black people too. I mentioned Kanye. So yes, definitely not everybody needs to check in, but you just need to have your ears to the streets, right? You know what I mean? You gotta know what people want. You're not gonna be able to please everybody, but at least a lot of people, right?
And I think some of the ways that folks can do that is, right, you don't have to go to every black person or put it out on Twitter and say, hey, what do y'all want me to do? It could be something as simple as, you know what? I want to talk about gun violence. I want to figure out how I can contribute to that. I'm going to go and have a meeting, conversation with a couple of leaders in a couple of different black cities who are doing good work, nonprofit work around gun violence. And then I could use that to help formulate my strategy to put my dollars to work. I think also what you said something real good. You said, and I think it came from here too, I'm tired. I think that's the important part of Do You Know Black? And that's why this is so important, because it allows us to educate people without having to be there to walk them through the answers. We can have a conversation as black people in this space, and they can view it on their own, at their own time, on their own accord, and hopefully get what they want to get out of it, but understand that it's us doing the work here and having a conversation with ourselves and not educating and checking answers on a sheet and be like, nah, wrong, right, A, B, C, I, no. That's why Do You Know Black is so important, because we educate without educating, you know? With that being said, we've gone over time.
Oh, drag.
I want to thank my guests. Y'all, make some noise for yourselves. Y'all just did a great job. All right, y'all. My name is Lamont Carolina. This has been the Do You Know Black Kickback. We will see you next time. Peace.